Good evening again. And it's 48 minutes past the hour. The sun has gone down. And this is Seth Morgan coming to you on Anchor by Spotify, where you can find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Podbean, Apple Music, Stitcher, and more host sites. We're back again as promised, and we're going to be bringing you some more information. Not on the last podcast that we've done, but something entirely different. And I'm sure that a lot of you will be able to relate to this in one way or another. Because if I were to ask you, what are the three leading causes of death? And I don't do that to create a somber atmosphere or energy or moment or anything like that. I just want to bring this information to you because unbeknownst to a lot of people, and a lot of people are aware of, a lot of the malpractices that go on. But malpractice lawsuits medically, from my understanding statistically, are the third leading cause of people's demise. And that's another tool that I truly believe that the enemy is going to use. Now, I'm not saying that they're not physicians and nurses and specialists, surgeons, and so forth who are not in the medical field to save lives, because I believe that a large majority are. But seeing that the times that we're in and how that self-preservation is a factor for a lot of people. And inevitably, you can't stop what you can't stop. Okay, you just can't. Because there are some things that are already written in spiritual laws that are inevitable, and you can't stop it. It's going to happen anyways. It's going to happen. But to a mind that's functioning in a different sphere altogether mentally, it doesn't really matter to them because they see you as competition. They see you as a hindrance. They see you as standing in their way. Okay, so I want to, and we're going to be moving around on this subject. And what I mean by that is that I'm going to be reading to you different things, but you're going to get an idea of what I'm actually talking about. And you're going to know because I'm going to give you the information, obviously. So let's pause for a moment and we're going to be right with you. Okay, and we're back. So I'm going to be, as I mentioned, I'm going to be moving around a little bit. And I'm not going to deviate from the subject. I just have quite a bit to read. And whatever I don't give you, of course, we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up. But remember to support us here on Amazon Anchor by Spotify. Okay, stuff more. And of course, all the other host sites that we're on: Patreon, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Apple Music. Make sure that you support, okay? I'm not calling myself Neo. I'm not calling myself, I'm just a brother that's trying to give you information, so that's what I'm here for. My name ain't Ra, and I'm not giving myself no titles, and how some people do. I'm the conscious Morpheus and all this kind of stuff, from the third dimension. I'm not giving you all that. I just want to give you information that's going to direct your natural, spiritual, and physical life. Okay? So listen, April 4th, 2019, mentalalternative.com. Okay, people these days see you as a weirdo if you talk about the healing properties of plants or any other holistic practice. Like everything else, there is a lot of politics and money behind the modern medical system. Around the 20th century, when the possibility of creating everything from oil was discovered, the Rockafella lineage opted for obtaining pharmaceutical drugs from petrochemicals. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to read to you, because like I said, I'm going to be moving around, and this is going to all make sense to you. Okay, it's going to all make sense to you, and I want to show you just how wicked people are. Now, here it is. We're talking about, the John D. Rockefeller, who in the early 1900s, in the early 19th century, that had a monopoly on all the oil in the United States, amongst with Carnegie and all these other people that, at that time, these moguls who were confiscated land and so forth, so on, and of course, had Wall Street survived, they would have been one of those obviously entities. But we all know what happened with that. Okay, but we're going to continue to read this to you, and I want you to pay close attention. Okay, so now it says here that around the 20th century, as I just read, when the possibility of creating everything from oil was discovered, the Rockefeller lineage opted for obtaining pharmaceutical drugs from petrochemicals. Keep that word in mind. Drugs from petrochemicals. But the Rockefellers' plan for the medical industry ran into one problem. The popularity of natural medicine in the United States. That's the roadblock that was in their way, right? In order for them to produce, they opted out of the oil, as I just read, right? When it said the possibility of creating everything from oil was discovered, what did Rockefeller do? He said the Rockefeller lineage opted for obtaining pharmaceutical drugs from petrochemicals. But the Rockefellers' plan for the medical industry ran into one problem: the popularity of natural medicine in the United States. Almost half of the doctors and medical schools in the U.S. practice holistic medicine using knowledge of Europe and Native Americans. Okay, thus the Rockefeller family found a way to get rid of their greatest competition using the classic Hegelian dialectic formula. Solution, problem, reaction. That is, they created a problem to scare people and then offered a pre-planned solution. Now, one of the things that they well, I won't go there. I was going to say when they said, but when the United States, when all the doctors were doing holistic medicine using knowledge of Europe and Native Americans, where did Europe learn about holistic medicines? So they got it from the Native Americans who were already in Northern America. See, because the indigenous people were practicing holistic medicine for thousands of years. So that didn't really get to Europe. It wasn't introduced, what I'm trying to say, to Europe until later on, probably the early 19th, 20th century, because it wasn't being used by them, but it was being used by Native Americans. Thus, the Rockafella family found a way to get rid of the greatest competition, as I just mentioned, using the classic Hegelian dialectic formula, solution, problem, reaction. And that is, as I just read, they created a problem to scare people and then offered a pre-planned solution. And I'm about to tell you what that is. And we're going to be moving around, as I just said. It all started with John Davison Rockefeller, 1839 through 1937, a Pharisee-born Illuminati monopoly. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. It all started with John Davison Rockefeller, 1839 through 1937. A Pharisee, they call him a Pharisee-born Illuminati monopoly, oil magnate. Check this out. Thief and America's first billionaire. Thief, remember that. Thief. He was a thief. Thief and America's first billionaire. In the early 1900s, Rockefeller controlled 90% of all oil refineries in the U.S. And of course, for any of you who studied the legacy of that whole debacle and so forth and so on, he had a monopoly and the government had to get in and had to break it up because, you know what I'm saying? You know how it goes. So, this thief controlled 90% of all oil refineries in the U.S. through his oil company, Standard Oil, which later split to become Chevron, Exxon, Mobil, etc. At the same time, around 1900, scientists discovered petrochemicals and the ability to create all kinds of chemicals from petroleum. For example, the first plastic called Bakelite was made from petroleum in 1907. Scientists discovered various vitamins and assumed that many pharmaceutical drugs could be obtained from petroleum. Rockefeller saw this as a wonderful opportunity to monopolize the oil, chemical, and medical industries at the same time. The best thing about petrochemicals was that everything could be patented and sold with high profits. But there was a problem with Rockefeller's plan for the medical industry. Natural/herbal medicines were very popular in America at the time. Now, think about this. Had America did the right thing and relied on holistic medicine, we wouldn't have people walking around sick right now. And we're going to get to the meat of this. And I think you know where I'm going. You wouldn't have people who are, with all these particular diseases, a lot of us have family members, a lot of us who have lost loved ones through cancer, asthma, sickle cell, leukemia, probably one and the same, lupus, you know, what else? Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease. I had my dear former pastor passed away from that. Lou Gehrig's, all these type of diseases that could have been eradicated had the U.S. stayed on the course and path of holistic medicine. You follow me? But being a capitalistic society, people would rather sell death than life. You see where I'm going? They would rather sell death than life. They would rather line the pockets of moguls. They would rather line the pockets of people and live lavish on the expense and lives of people. So getting rich is the main thing for a lot of people. They're practicing the same mentality. They don't care about people. They will step on you to get that bag, to get $1. And then say, Lord, forgive me. Now, I ain't trying to be funny. Some of y'all might find that funny. Say, you stupid, man. But it's true. You know it's the truth. You know that's straight up facts, right? Like y'all say, Gucci. And so here it is. They found the way. He used the reaction to create fear, which they always do. That's what they did with COVID. So that's why we need to wake up, y'all. They put the fear in you, and then you run out there and you standing in line. You standing in line like a sheep or a goat, cattle ready to get brand. He used the classic Hegelian dialectic formula, solution, problem, reaction, as I read, right? Now, it talks about him and his associates created a problem to scare people and then offer a pre-planned solution. Okay, and then of course he turned to his friend Andrew Carnegie, another plutocrat who made his money by monopolizing the steel industry. See, and what we have to realize, y'all, and a lot of us know it, but some of us are asleep. Okay, when this holistic medicine stood in their way, what did they do? They created another avenue to invest in the pharmaceutical industry, and they opted out of wanting people to be whole and healed, and they began to lean toward petrochemicals. So what's that tell you? It tells you that what you're putting in your body, all of us have done it at one time or another, and a lot of us are still doing it. We're putting chemicals in our bodies, petrochemicals, these medicines that they're being produced and created in pill form and liquid form. You're ingesting petrochemicals. You're probably taking gasoline and what's the other one? Diesel fuel in your body. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of crazy crap. My. So they created this fear to get everybody to get on board. And it talks about, Almost half of the doctors and medical schools in the U.S. practiced holistic medicine at the time. And they used, of course, the lead of the indigenous people, and it talks about Europe, the classic Hegelian. And let me go on. Let me go on now. Let me go on. I'm getting excited because I'm very passionate about that. And then he got with his cronies and created a problem to scare the people, and to offer a pre-planned solution. He turned to his friend Andrew Carnegie, another plutocrat who made his money by monopolizing the steel industry, who devised a plan from the prestigious Carnegie Foundation. They sent a man named Abraham Flexner to travel across the country and report on the status of all hospitals and medical colleges. This led to the writing of the Flexner Report. There was a Flexner Report as he traveled around the country, and they used the prestigious Carnegie Foundation to do this. So when this man was traveling, he went to all the hospitals and colleges, which led to the writing of the Flexner Report, which gave rise to modern medicine as we know it, through which the need to modernize and centralize medical institutions was discussed based on this report. More than half of all, listen to this, y'all, based on all the reports that this man was gathering from all these medical schools and colleges, what he did in turn was he submitted all this information of all the medical universities, okay, and colleges. And it says, based on this report, more than half of all medical universities were closed a short time later. Listen to that, y'all. More than half of all medical universities were closed a short time later. Homeopathic medicine and the natural medicine were mocked and demonized. So they mocked the holistic medicine and demonized it because they knew it was going to heal people. See, because what these wicked devils saw in the future was they wanted dependency on the United States populace and the world to be dependent on synthetic poison so that they can keep them hooked on these drugs and at the same time kill people at the expense of making profits. You follow me? I think you do. Wicked, right? So that's why I told you I'm going to bring you content that matters. I'm going to bring you stuff to think about so that when we walk up in the doctor, okay, and that's why they have what they call generic but what I would say to you is I would go holistic, okay, because that's what I do. So I was at the dentist, which I have another appointment this week. I was at the dentist 2 weeks ago, and so she prescribed me some what was it? Motrin, which is not a big deal, right? And then some moxicillin. But I said, you know what? Because I had to have a tooth extracted, and I'm having some work done and so forth. She was like, I said, well, what I'm gonna do? I'm a gargle with some. She, of course, gargle with some salt water, what have you, some organic natural vinegar or whatever. She said, oh no, that's not good for your gums, or this is not. I said, okay, whatever. But anyways, what I am saying is this: is that I would opt out to do homeopathic medicine, as a replacement for those of you, but you want to do it slow. For those of you who probably suffering from high blood pressure or whatever, diabetes or something, you have to consult your physician and see what he says. If you have the type of physician who is bent on keeping you on that synthetic medicine, I would question that, especially if you're having reactions from it, and more than likely you probably are. See, that's why it's good to do stuff like oregano oil, spirulina, do a lot of juicing. And I'm always pushing this kind of stuff because that's what I do, do juicing, get you some pineapple, some blueberries, some strawberries, some kale, some carrots, and juice maybe twice a week. And if you're not juicing, the days that you're not juicing, make sure you drink real juice, like pomegranate juice, because they have juices that are, green juices and all this, are all natural. They got cucumber in it, lettuce, kale, kiwi, things like that. Because you don't want to continue to drink those juices that got corn syrup. A lot of us, we go in the store, we pick up some, we're not reading what it's in it. We just chuck it on down. You see what I'm saying? Come on, man. Your body is your temple. Okay? So we're going to continue. And if we run out of time, we're going to come back. Because like I said, I have a lot of information to give you. But so far, you see where this is going. Okay, and so the homeopathic medicine and the herbs and so forth, they were mocked. They were mocked by these people to scare people and demonized. Many doctors who worked with these methods were even jailed. Believe that? They were even jailed. To help with the transition and change the minds of other doctors and scientists, Rockafella donated more than $100 million to schools and hospitals and founded a group of philanthropic leaders called the General Board of Education, GEB, end quote. In a very short time, all medical schools were modernized and homogenized. Money talks, y'all. Money talks. Money talks. And it talks to do wicked stuff. So a lot of people who are seeking money as their main thing, you have the love of money. Now, for those of us who are doing what we need to do through work, to maintain, and we don't see money like that. We look at money, and it's not that you don't want to make more money to do certain things, but those of you or people who are geared towards money for self-aggrandizement and want to be seen and want to flex and show off and do all that, you have the love of money on you, which is not helping nobody. Because it's not going to even help you. It's going to be your detriment. So I want to get you to begin to think about stuff and what are the pros and what are the cons. What are the good things and what are the bad things. Because something can either be a blessing to you or a cursing. Okay, so I just read, with the help with that transition, Rockafella, he donated more than $100 million to schools and hospitals and founded a group called the GEB, okay, which is the General Board of Education. In a very short time, all medical schools were modernized and homogenized. All the students were learning the same thing. And the medicine consisted of using proprietary, that's what I'm trying to say, proprietary medicines. Okay, now, See, they had to have everybody on the same page for this to work. And what did they do? They created the fear, right? They demonized the holistic medicine, right? Mocking it, shaming it, and then they went around and made sure that all the schools, over half of the colleges, medical colleges and universities were shut down. See what I'm saying? And then here comes the money. Rockafella donates $100 million to schools and hospitals to create his own medical system, along with his cronies. And they modernized and homogenized, right? And all the students were learning the same thing. And then the medicines consist of, proprietary medicines. The scientists received huge grants to study how plants cure diseases. But did they use these plants? The scientists received huge grants to study how plants cure diseases. But their goal was to first identify which chemicals in the plants were effective, and then to recreate a similar, listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. They wanted to find out the properties, right? How effective they were. Their goal was to identify which chemicals in the plants, the properties in the plants were effective, and then to recreate a similar, but not identical, chemical in the laboratory that could be patented. See, now this is what's going on. This is what's going on. So everything that, oh my goodness. This is powerful. Everything that is going on right now as I speak is to create an artificial substitute. So everything that you'll be dealing with and are dealing with, like right now, will be an artificial, illusionary fierce of living. So in other words, now they're talking about artificial intelligence, right? Right? Yep, that's what they're doing, right? And this is why, like I said, it's for another podcast, Bill Gates is buying up millions of acres of farmland in the U.S. Already, there have been, over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, artificial food that's growing, GMOs and all this genetically modified food and so forth. A lot of times you don't even know if you're eating real food. And this is why you have to be very, very selective in how you eat and what you put in your body, y'all. You have to be very, very selective. Okay. And so he had to find out. They had to find out which chemicals in the plants were effective so they can create a similar but not identical chemical in the laboratory that could be patented. So now, 100 years later, we are producing doctors who know nothing. Listen to this. 100 years later, we are producing doctors who know nothing about the benefits of nutrition or herbs or any holistic practice. So they're giving you their opinion on what they think. And I was listening to this commercial. And I think it's the commercial, you'll probably hear it. You'll hear it. The commercial of Hulera or something like that. And they were saying, oh, take this and take that and take this and take that. And it can and the side effects could be this, that, and it can even cause brain damage. And you're listening to this, you're listening to this on TV. Excuse me. You're saying to yourself, why the hell would I take that? You're skipping through the meadows and saying Hulera works, and you got sunny day out, and you going through the daffodils and the sunflowers running through and holding hands, and then the commercials singing this lullaby song and all this kind of crazy crap. And then it tells you that the medicine that you're taking, you might grow another limb, or, you have severe headaches. And then I was listening, then it said it can cause brain damage. And you thinking to yourself, why the hell would anybody take something like that? But this is the irony of all this, is that you have these pharmaceutical companies. And there was a bill that was just passed maybe a year or so ago, maybe not even that long, that you cannot sue pharmaceutical companies if, in fact, you were to lose a loved one through medications that were caused their demise. And it was not long ago where you would see all these lawsuits, malpractice lawsuits, or these lawsuits against these pharmaceuticals for putting out medicines, if you can even call it that, that were not, haven't been vetted and they, by the USDA and Food and Drug Administration and so forth and all, and these politicians were passing on through. You understand what I'm saying? Lobbying for all this stuff. So listen. So now they said these doctors, over the last 100 years, we are producing doctors who know nothing about the benefits of nutrition or herbs or any holistic practice. Instead, we have an entire society that is enslaved to corporations, and they still associate these with the idea of well-being. The United States spends 15% of its GDP on healthcare, but it does not focus on the cure. And that is by design. They are sacrificing people for money because, as you already know, a lot of these pharmaceuticals lobby, pay politicians to get a lot of these drugs passed through. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to stop and we're going to come back. So stay with us, give us a few moments, and we'll be right back here on Anchor by Spotify. Stay with us.